friends, it's Alexa, and today I'm going to be sharing all the books that I read in May. If you missed my 2 other recaps this week, I did one for February and I did one that was a combined March and April one, and I will link to both those videos down below. Without further ado, here are all the books that I read in May. In May, I actually did traveling earlier on in the month, and so the book that I brought with me when I went to Charleston for my friend's wedding was Hello Sunshine by Layla Howland. And it's the story of a girl named Becca who didn't get accepted into the college she wanted to go to, or any college at all, and so she decides to pursue her dream of acting and moves to LA. And this is basically the first year of her life in LA. What I love about this story is that it's an untraditional way to go after high school, because most of the ones I've read, you go to college and then you graduate and then you get a job. In this one, she goes straight for the acting thing, and I think that was interesting to read about. I love that she has this whole assortment of experiences and people that she meets that are unusual and unexpected, and it kind of reminded me of when I moved to New York and had no idea what to expect either, so I really liked that aspect of it a lot. I did find that it was hard for me to really relate to Becca because sometimes she could be so frustrating to me. Overall, I thought it was really interesting. I liked that it was something different. The next book that I read is one of the books that I absolutely love this year, and that is The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord. It is a summer camp book, but it centers around a character named Lucy who is reeling from doubts about her faith after her mom's cancer comes back. It's just so good. As usual, Emery's writing is incredible. She has this way of making complicated situations come to life. She writes really well-written characters that have a lot of depth to them and are very complicated, complex people. And she also manages to write like a huge group of friends to fall in love with, and I just really enjoyed it. I love that it was set at summer camp. I really enjoyed seeing Lucy struggle through her doubts and try to figure out where to go from here and how to move forward, and I think that once again Emery Lord has done a beautiful job of telling this story. The next book I read is one of the hardest books I've read all year, but also I think a very important one, and that is Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios. And it is about a girl named Grace who is in a relationship with a guy named Gavin, who at first seems to be the ideal guy, but then turns out to be manipulative and emotionally abusive, and it's about being in this bad relationship with him. I think that even though it was very hard to read at times and to see what Grace was going through, it was really well done. The portrayal of it was very smart because it's a real thing and it could really happen. Heather really made me feel that. I also really like that she made the narrative choice to write it as if Grace were addressing Gavin, so that was really interesting too. All in all, I think if you're interested in reading something that portrays a complicated, bad relationship in a very realistic way, or at least it was realistic to me, then this is something you should check out. But I will say that there is definitely, you have to definitely make sure you're ready to read about a terrible relationship. The next book that I'm going to show you guys is probably my least favorite book that I've read so far in 2017. And it's a shame because it's an author who I normally love, and that book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I respect the fact that she decided to depart in a way from her typical contemporary women's fiction stories. In this one, we get a bit of historical in it because the main character is listening to Evelyn Hugo narrate her life story. It's very Hollywood gossip. It's got a lot of scandal and secrets and like complicated things. That's normally okay with me, but what really bothered me was like just the way certain things were portrayed. I didn't particularly love them. I didn't like any of the characters, which is normally not a deal breaker, but I couldn't even find one that I thought was super interesting. I just did not really enjoy this one, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. The next book I read was a review book, and it is Coming Up for Air by Miranda Keenely, and this one is the last book in the 100 Oak series. It's about a girl named Maggie who is a competitive swimmer who has her eye on getting a spot on the Olympics team, and she realizes in her senior year of high school that she hasn't really had much of the typical high school experience, and so she gets her best friend to help her out with the romance stuff. Only that backfires when she realizes she may have feelings for him. Once again, it was another incredible Miranda Keenely story. It was a cute romance. It had excellent secondary plots and side characters. It had this really wonderful friendship and family relationship. And I also just really liked Maggie's personal journey of realizing that, particularly for romance, it happens in its own time and in its own way for every single person. And the boy in this book is also very cute, so I loved it. and I think Miranda finished off her series with a bang. And then I read 2 comic compilations that Mackie picked up from the library, and they're both Superman. Volume 1 is Son of Superman, and Volume 2 is Trials of the Super Son. I will say that it was confusing at first because I'm not so well versed in the Superman world, I guess. But then I just really enjoyed meeting his son in this alternate world, and then in the second book having his son and Damian Wayne interact. So that was really fun. And then I read a little manga. One is a reread actually, and that one is The Seventh Hokage in Scarlet Spring by Masashi Kishimoto. I really enjoyed it because it's about Sarada Uchiha, and she's basically in a position where she questions her own lineage, and this whole story explores that. Of course, there's also like the whole someone is once again trying to take over things and run things. It was just fun to be reunited with the golden trio of the series, and I love seeing familiar faces. I loved, you know, Sarada finding out the truth about everything. It's just a fun adventure, and I really enjoyed rereading it again. The next manga that I read is the first volume of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, and the creator obviously is Masashi Kishimoto, but the art is by Mikio Ikemoto, and the script is by Ukyo Kodachi. This basically covers most of the events in the Boruto movie, and it's still really fun to revisit. There are a few things that they cut out in the movie that I really enjoyed. Plus there is an additional short story about this character, Mitsuki, which I really loved. And I just can't wait for future volumes because I've also been enjoying the TV show as well. The next book I read is Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crawley, and this is the story of a girl named Rachel who is still grieving the loss of her brother, and she moves back to the town that she left many years ago, and a boy named Henry who is dealing with the loss of his girlfriend and trying to figure out his future and what romance means for him. Throw in this really quirky bookshop and you've got a really cute contemporary story. It's been a long time since I read a Kath Crawley novel, but as always, she manages to write a story that will just draw you in because you will end up really feeling for these characters, and that's what happened to be. And I just really like that they each have their own individual thing to deal with, but also that they get a chance to reforge a friendship that they thought was lost. And so I thought this was really well done. And then I read Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. This book has actually just been optioned to become a movie, and I believe Lauren Graham is producing it, so that's exciting. Windfall is the story of a girl named Alice who has been in love with her friend Theo for years now, I guess, and for his 18th birthday she buys him a lottery ticket, only it turns out it's a jackpot winning lottery ticket, and Theo has $140 million. The book deals with what Theo does with the money, sure, but it also deals with how Alice feels about what Theo is doing and her own personal things that she's going through. Once again, with Jennifer E. Smith's books, it's just so compelling. These characters were so compelling. Seeing them go through these things and come out stronger, come out different, was also really interesting to me, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Then I read Sarah Dessen's latest book, Once and For All. This is about a girl named Luna who is the daughter of a woman who is an expert wedding planner. And so Luna has grown up around the wedding planning business, and she's probably going to take the reins eventually. And this book covers the period of a summer where she is inadvertently forced to be co-workers with the son of one of their clients who is not exactly her type and gets on her nerves a lot. Slowly over the summer you see her come to terms with it, you see what she does about her future, and it's just once again another great Sarah Dessen read. And then I read Lucky in Love by Casey West, which is another book where someone wins the lottery, only this time it's the main character. Interesting because now you get to see the point of view of someone who has all this money and doesn't quite know how she wants to spend it, and I thought that was fun. It was sort of like a what would you do if type story, which I thought was very interesting, and I thought it was cute and sweet like most Casey West novels are. I do think the ending was a teensy bit rushed, but other than that I would say it's pretty enjoyable. The main character was a little irritating at times because she read as younger than she actually is in the story, so that also contributed to me not loving it as much as I wanted to. And the last book that I read in the month of May is a book I'm very excited about, and I feel like I've been just saying this to everyone. I said it to everyone at BEA, I said it to everyone at BookCon, I've been talking about it on Twitter and on Instagram because it's that amazing, and that book is Warcross by Marie Lu, which is the first in a duology. In this story, the main character is a girl named Emika Chen, and she's kind of down in her luck. She lives in New York, but in order to survive and to have the money she needs to pay for all the basic necessities, she has taken on jobs as a bounty hunter, where you can hunt down criminals that the police can't or don't have the resources to catch. Anyway, she is into Warcross, which is the big virtual reality type game that takes the world by storm in this particular setting. And on the day of the opening ceremony game, she accidentally hacks into it. Well, no, she actually hacks into it. And that gets her noticed by the creator of the game, Hideo Tanaka, and he flies her out to Tokyo with a proposition. He wants to hire her to compete in the official Warcross games in order to find out who is trying to sabotage the game or hack into it. Oh my god, it is so, so good, you guys. I enjoyed Maria Lu's Legend trilogy. I was okay with the Young Elites, but never continued that series. But this book was amazing. Part of it is because I loved Sword Art Online, which has a similar concept of like having yourself transported into this virtual reality world, but also it's just so cleverly done. The main character is so easy to root for. The romance is also very swoony. The friendships are really exciting. The entire setup of this game is crazy amazing, and I really wish it were a real game because I think it would be really fun to play. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. In case you couldn't tell, I definitely plan on rereading it before it comes out because it was so, so good. And if you haven't picked this one up yet, you definitely should, if you can. And if you can't, pre-order it immediately because it's so amazing. So I am dumb and forgot to mention one book that I read in May. It's probably because I felt like I read it so long ago now. I don't even know why it feels that way. But the book in question is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas, and as expected, I really love this book. I've always enjoyed Sarah's works, and this one is no exception because it concludes the first trilogy in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I really can't tell you too much about the plot because it would be spoilery for the first two books, but I will say that I love how it all came together. I really enjoyed being reunited with the characters of this series, and I really think that the way it ended was great. And it also leaves a lot of things open, a lot of questions really, and then I hope those questions are answered in the next couple of books. So yeah, this one was a really good read, and I highly recommend checking out this series. Those were all the books that I managed to read in the month of May. If you have any questions, again, just leave them in the comments and I will try to answer as long as they're not spoilery. Feel free to follow me on all my other social media as well. I will be seeing you guys next week with another video.